Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is the Papa Joe Show, where Papa Joe knows. I am your host, Papa Joe, and I am joined today by JChains. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What is up, my man? Thanks for having me on. Doing well. Obviously, we're all trying to absorb what's happening in the ecosystem right now. How we could get here, but other than that, man, this is the time to be working, grinding, building, stacking, growing. So that's what I'm doing, man.
Nice to hear it, man. So, from what I understand, you have launched a new brand of your own, and I want to hear more about that. I want to tell people about that. I want people to follow this dude. He knows his stuff. He's an amazing guy, just as an individual. He's one of the coolest, humblest guys you'll ever meet. He really is. So definitely,
Well,
where can people find you? What kind of stuff like that? Let's get that out right here off the bat.
Well, I appreciate you, man. And those feelings are mutual. Papa Joe and I, we've had a couple opportunities to hang out at some of the real life events within the crypto and Web3 and blockchain ecosystem. So you're a good dude too. So my what I'm doing is basically just going out with my own brand. I've been kind of a part of channels for most of my time in the space, but being that there's a lot of opportunity within Web3, I thought this was the time to really make that move for my family and myself. So, I've been going by JChains for many years now in the space. So that's what it is. I'm building the website now, launching the YouTube channel. So I'm going to be emceeing a couple conferences, coming up. Got one at the end of the month here. Down in Miami, Florida, the Women of Web3 Summit. So part of
Cool.
what I get to do for there is, I'm interviewing a lot of the speakers and get a chance to chat with them to develop some content on the channel. Also, I've launched a daily Twitter space Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. You can see right here, Papa Joe's got it pulled up. Web3 Breakfast Bites is what it's called. So I had my first one today. It was great. Had a good time. Had a bunch of people tune in, which was fun. And that's going to be something I'm doing every day. And really, it's just educating people what's going on in Web3, going through some of the headlines, going through, what's going on with some of the projects, some land prices, some of the things that I've incorporated from other live streams into a daily Twitter space, kind of make it more like a radio show. It's actually, you believe it or not, it's what I went to school for in college. I was a broadcast communications major. And so I was on the
Cool.
radio. And I always wanted to have a radio show. And I think that Twitter and my Web3 community have finally afforded me the opportunity to pretty much live my dream.
That is fantastic, man. Well, more power to you.
Thank you.
Glad to try to get you out there, try to get other people to know who this dude is. He is freaking amazing. And yeah, check his stuff out. He really does know what he's talking about with it. He's very well connected in the different spaces. And he definitely is someone to pay attention to, especially for the Web3 stuff. Web3 is
Appreciate
all over the place, and one of the
it.
things I kind of wanted to talk about with that today was some very interesting news that came across while I was live earlier. It literally popped across. I was like, okay, I got to talk about that. So I did it towards the end, but it was like, yeah, this would be good to talk to Chains about here. So guess what? Nike just partnered specifically with Polygon. Ryan Watts is the CEO of Polygon. Yeah, it's going to be their blockchain for building their Web3 experiences. Wanted to get your take on it. I know we kind of just, there's Liz new and whatnot that just hit. So
Hmm.
yeah, crazy stuff
I love it.
happening in the Polygon space for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. I think, Matic, Polygon, they've got a fantastic product, a fantastic, blockchain. And I know that it's a fork of Ethereum. But I think, what they've done there is, they really solved a lot of the problems that Ethereum was having before, like with some of the speed and transaction fees, all that kind of stuff. So I really like this partnership, with Nike and Matic Polygon. I think that they're a huge contender for market cap and all that stuff moving into the next cycle. And I mean, a partnership like this just basically solidifies that they're going nowhere in this ecosystem. And I know, like, right now that's kind of a stupid thing to say, because a company like FTX, you would have thought, maybe even a month ago, like, these guys are going nowhere. But
Yeah,
that it's just another day in crypto, I suppose.
it is apparently now at this point. Yeah, man, it's gotten really crazy out there. We'll talk about FTX here in just a second, because I wanted to kind of talk about the self-custodian stuff and how very vital it is. And we're always screaming, not your keys, not your coins, but like, Like you said, Polygon's not going anywhere in this space. They've got the layer 2 solution for Ethereum, but they also have their own layer 1, and they're taking market share from Ethereum, and they're taking market share from the other bigger names like Cardano and stuff like that. Yes, there's still being built on there. There's still stuff. There's still major use cases, but Polygon's seem to be setting themselves aside. I call them the internet of blockchains, right? So everything rides on the internet now in life. Well, I think every blockchain at some point will eventually touch Polygon, simply because of their multi-chain functionality, right? They're cross-platform, and that's a huge thing in this space, because most blockchains to date, well, they're siloed. They're specifically set up, unless they're an ERC20 token or whatever chain they're built on. Polygon went and launched their own mainnet, and a lot of people are starting to realize, hey, this is easy, this is great, this is stuff we can actually go play with. And I forgot to pull this up while we were talking earlier, but they have some crazy stuff happening with their solutions with Polygon ID that is going to change identity management stuff across the board, not just for the blockchain space, but you think about enterprises using that. Think about the zero knowledge stuff that they're doing. I mean, it's some pretty phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I think that digital identity stuff, the DIDs or whatever some people are calling them. I think that's like fascinating. It's we've got a lot of people that want to be anonymous still, so I think that we've got some things to work on as far as how that works. But there has to be a way for, and especially as we get into like the metaverse, all that stuff, and when we have more of these unsiloed ecosystems. And I don't really want to say metaverse, because I don't even know if that's the right word to use for any of this. You got some people call them all sorts of different things, but with your digital identity and being able to make sure that you have custody and you do it wisely and safely. I mean, that's probably some of the most important stuff that people need to learn, especially like when you see these custodial services that, again, some of us thought they were too big to fail.
Sure.
The writing was on the wall, probably, if you looked at it well enough, that things weren't going to be in it for the long haul. But being able to keep your keys, keep your coins, I mean, moving into this, like 5 years from now, when pretty much everything that we're going to do is going to be conducted on the blockchain, 5 to 10 years, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the actual
timeline is. That long, to be honest. I mean, I know of other projects where, like, I very, very carefully have to talk about it, but like there are major brick and mortars, like major companies, corporations, who are getting out there and they're actually building inside of blockchains. They're building their own blockchains internally, their whole private permission stuff, and making it so that they can actually utilize the functionality. Think about like supply chain stuff, anything that's any kind of retail. Those guys, that's why I say all the time, blockchain equals freedom for humanity. It doesn't just mean individuals. Businesses are now going to have to be beholden to certain regulatory bodies, because blockchain technology can have that built in. You go ahead and abide by the rules by building it in, and then that kind of stuff just gets phased out over time. That it's going to fundamentally change our lives. It already is for a lot of people who realize what's going on with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, it's just one of those things about being in this ecosystem and being a content creator and an educator. I mean, it's just it's so cool to be a part of this and to learn. And I don't know about you, man, like, I learn something new every single day, and I feel like it's like it's really important to do that, because it doesn't matter how long you've been in the space and how much or how well you're connected. Literally, it changes every single day. There's like some joke, right? Like a day in blockchain is like a month or a year everywhere else, and it's so true.
It is.
And so always evolving, learning, adapting, growing. It's what we need to do, just to make sure that we're staying ahead of the trend, staying ahead of the technologies, so that if there are some security measures that we need to take, or in order to educate people and show them this is what you need to be doing. I'm going to be doing a Twitter space tomorrow, actually, I think. So after all of this is said and done, it would have been a couple days ago, but it's about that same thing, man. It's about custodial. It's about having your keys to your coins. I mean, that's super important.
And that's one of the things, kind of great segue here. And I mention Divi all the time. Reason I mention them all the time is because I've been in this space since almost the beginning. I was an earlier miner. I started mining in 2011, later 2011.
You're an OG.
A little bit. It's interesting. The Lord knew I did not need to have that amount of money, if you will. So, my thing in that whole time frame was more along the lines of, learning what the technology did. No one knew what blockchain technology was at that time. And I'm a technologist. I have an IT background, and I was like, what is this stuff? This is phenomenal. This is amazing. And the light bulb went on several years later. And I was like, I need to probably hold on to these. So I don't, I'm not, I'm OG and I understand this stuff. I've been in it since then, but like, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, he knew I didn't need it. Not like that. I mean, I had hard drives die with thousands of Bitcoin on them. Just like, just gone. That kind of crap. So anyways, side tangent there. Yes, it's extremely important. And the reason I talk about this particular project a lot, not necessarily, it's more because of the people behind it, because they're actually building a foundation. When you talk about FTX, and these different exchanges, right? They're centralized. It's almost like they're building their platforms on sand. Platforms like the Divi project, platforms like Polygon, platforms like I don't know. There's several of them out there right now that are actually building something. They're building on a real foundation, and that just takes a lot more time than people realize. And we're in a down market. This is when you build. You don't build when things are
100%.
running high. You need to be ready to go when that run happens, or you're going to be left in the dust. And there's nothing wrong with building then, but this is when you build, right? And Nick Safrono is CEO, founder CEO. This stuff, I built when what was it? Dash? Was it Dash? I think it was Dash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When Dash came out, they had their master nodes. You had to know how to code. You had to know how to code to do that. These guys have master nodes with a click of a button inside of a mobile wallet.
Oh, wow.
And they have staking and all that stuff on a couple clicks of a button, and it's done. Right. And this is something that people don't realize, the evolution of this entire system. You still got the proof of stake stuff, which is still extremely important. And don't get me wrong, if I ever get back into mining, it's going to be on an industrial scale, and it will happen massively. I'm just, I'm not touching it again until that happens. But stuff like this, self-custody is a big part of what they do. They have the ability to custodian all kinds of different coins. If I'm not mistaken, they're working on their NFT related stuff, their Web3 stuff, the DeFi stuff. They have some pretty cool stuff that they're working on. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, you've got Trust Wallet, sure, you've got Exodus. They're great. They have built-in decentralized exchanges, but they don't have fiat on and off ramps. These guys do. They're literally that all-encompassing environment that people want, but don't realize is even there yet. They're like, we need to do this with an exchange. It's like, well, they've already done that here. We need to be able to buy and sell. Like, well, that's already done here. And it's the same type of process. It's just, this is completely decentralized. And the coolest part I think about it is that the fiat on and off ramp is its immediate self-custody. You're not,
That to
not
me
sitting somewhere
is,
else.
I mean, I was me and my buddy, we used to gamble on some fun, we'd roll a dice for some crypto stuff, right? We would have fun doing it.
Sure.
And he owed me a bunch of stuff, and so he had to put some money into Coinbase in order to get the tokens to pay for whatever. And it took damn near a week, from start to finish, for him to deposit money and then be able to send it to me, because of all the, we gotta hold it for a couple days to verify. Oh, and then you need to verify, we need you to send in, again, your ID with your picture and all this stuff. It's like, what the heck is all this
Holy
about?
cow.
Just give me my crypto and let me do what I got to do.
That's crazy. There is a verification process for them. They still, because it is US fiat and crap like that, or whatever other fiat, it still does through that kind of thing. I don't think it takes as long. Actually, it doesn't take as long. My son, really cool side tangent here. He's 10 years old, and he's already in the mindset. He's like, I want to go buy a go-kart, or I want to go buy a Nintendo Switch, or whatever. I want him to go work for it, right? So he went, made some extra money, and said, here, Dad, it's not enough, but invest it and let it grow. He actually put it in Divi, and he's already doubled his money.
Oh, good for him, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, you're a 10-year-old man. That's just crazy.
That to me is honestly the most exciting thing about all of this, is that the opportunity that I'm going to be able to give my daughter. So she just turned 1, and she's got a whole bunch of NFTs. She's got some crypto, and over time, just going to slowly add some more stuff in there for in 16 years, when she's it's going to be amazing for her, right? Like, to me, that's more exciting. I get more joy out of putting money into her wallets than I
Mm-hmm.
do putting money into my own wallet.
Mm-hmm. It's because they're the future, man. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. They're the future, and that's giving and providing. That's just kind of as men. That's kind of the way we are built, you
Mhm.
know. But it's one of those things. It's really cool to see them. As I can't wait till they grow up. And they're sitting there. That generational wealth thing. That's really about to happen in this whole space, and the next generation is going to be the one who really gets to enjoy that. And
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I really am.
I love that. Yeah, that's exciting. That's that's one of those things that keeps you going through this. Because, like, Web3 is it's honestly, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, but at the same time, like, like, it's easier for, I mean, for me personally, like, it's easier to work 100 hours on Web3 than it is, a 40-hour work week doing other stuff. And so, like, I don't mind it. I just, it's fun ecosystem to be a part of. And like you said, this is the largest transformation of wealth in the history of humankind. We are, like, at the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution, and it is, like, darn cool to be a part of it.
It is really cool, actually. Like, you know, I haven't really gotten big in the NFT space, and I really haven't because the utility hasn't really been there from my perspective,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
I get the whole thing in the metaverse or whatever it's going to be called. I get that. That's really cool. I get the art and the artists, music, movies, pictures, etc. They need to have their just rewards for what they're doing, right? That makes a complete sense. And then the proof of ownership and all that stuff. That whole proof of ownership thing, I really see the value in buying and selling a home, buying and selling a car, any kind of real estate transaction. I see
100%.
it for medical records, dude. The amount of fraud that happens in the medical realm. If you could have an ecosystem where your medical records were an NFT that could be unpackaged, you know, from a HIPAA perspective or anything like that, and the hospital, doctor, whatever, they go and do a request for your access to your medical records, and that gets a push notification to your phone. And
Mhm.
after so much time, if you don't respond to it, next of kin gets access to it. And if they aren't responded, then there's like a nuclear missile key, a two doctors kind of thing they have to approve or something like that.
Right.
Something like that. But there's a permanent record of when it was accessed, how long it was accessed. The thing about this though is when your medical records are released to the medical entity, whoever they are, they have them forever. They can access it forever. They can go back and look again and again and again and over and over and over again. The really cool part, I think, about this whole thing is that you can actually set a time limit on it via the smart contract and just, all right, you're done. You know, that kind of stuff.
I love
You
it.
remain private. And then you have the track record of who touched it, who viewed it, how many times, things like that. And as an individual, that's your privacy. That's a big deal. There's so many areas I think that could have real utility in it in the world of like our physical world, if you will, the real life stuff. But like
Yeah.
I don't know. Where do you think it going from that perspective? That's just
I'm 100,000% with you. And I've been saying, the JPEGs, NFTs as we know them right now, literally is just the beta test for
it
where
is.
all of this is going. That's all it is. How, can people handle, having, self custody of their digital ownership? That's all it is. Because, like you said, it is so much bigger than pictures. Right? It's your land deeds, it's your health records, it's your marriage certificates, it's everything that requires, real estate, anything that requires any kind of ownership can now be generated through that NFT, whether it's
Correct.
your season tickets, it's your
Yep.
gym membership,
Yep.
anything, literally anything. Like,
Yep.
and so, yes, this is just the beginning, and it's a fun way to test to see how it all works. But I tell you what, man, like, the future for NFTs is not just pictures.
It's not. And a lot of people are like, this is stupid. I've lost so much money. It's like, yeah, you're in a testing playground. You're in the beta test. That's what happens. Like from a technology life cycle perspective, like there was that alpha test that happened. And now we're in the beta testing. And that's where things, you find out what breaks, you find out what works, you find out what doesn't work, and you fix it and you move on. And then you have companies like Property there, you know, they're not the only one. There's several who are now coming out in this, and they're going, we are really going to actually do real world transactions in NFT, and that's really really cool. And then like
Like
I
that.
just think that this whole realm, people get confused with the whole Web3 thing. Just like whenever you say blockchain technology to a corporation, they're like, oh, we're not doing anything to do with Bitcoin, and I'm like, they're nothing like each other. It's like
Uh,
Web3, you're like, oh, that's the metaverse. No, 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 it's
nope.
not.
No,
you
it's
know,
just blockchain.
it's blockchain technology, man. And that whole like for me on my journey of learning that, while I walked off a lot of cliffs, like I said earlier, that hard drive died. There was no C words back then. There was no way to restore it. It was gone. It's gone forever, kind of thing. The node died. It's dead. And like people are in that phase right now in the NFT space, the Web3 space. They're walking off the cliffs now. They're trying to figure out how this stuff works. And once we get down the road here, I think it'll go a lot faster because, as you mentioned earlier, a day in the time of crypto is like a month or a year or 6 months in the regular real world. It's gonna be a lot faster transformation than we think we realize. And people aren't even gonna. The coolest thing, one of the coolest things I think, like with back to Divi real quick, is that their whole thing is we want to make this as easy to use for people as possible. Get that user experience perfect. Get it as easy to use as possible, to where they don't even realize they're using it. That's where you get the adoption, and that's what they're building, and that's what people like Proppy are building. Once they have this done, the banks, then they may not even be involved anymore. You may
Well,
be
we
able
kind
to get a
of
crowd-funded loan.
I think we all kind of hope for that in some way.
Yep.
I that's important, man, and I really like that. I like to hear that too, because like that's one of the things that we've, as educators and content creators, have been preaching for years. Is that, hey, listen, like for in order for crypto mass adoption to happen, like it has to be either equal or easier than the current system. Like it can't be tougher, it can't be more challenging, it can't be more cumbersome and clunky. Like it has to be easier.
Yep.
And then people will be like, okay, well, yeah, it saves me time, saves me money, saves whatever. It's easier. I'm going to do that. And so it's good to hear that, they're at least focusing on that, because that is that. I mean, between that and with what's going on with blockchain gaming, I think,
Oh yeah.
blockchain gaming is going to be a big catalyst for mass adoption, but
Yeah.
also usability too. Like it has to be usable, and people can't be afraid that they're going to lose their savings because of whatever.
Right. You talk about the whole Web3 gaming. Sorry, brain fart there. Divi is working with a project called Lightning Works. Are you familiar with Lightning Works?
Mm-mm.
Divi's former founder, Jeff McCabe, former founder. He is the founder. He's the chairman of Divi. Anyways, former CEO. He went and started Lightning Works, I think it's Lightning Works, and basically they're developing a whole first-person shooter realm. And when you get the other guy or whatever, and some, how like in different games, like they drop their fire, their whatever, their stuff they had.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to be, some of it's going to be in Divi, and then it's going to be NFTs that get dropped. And as you pick it up, you now have that NFT, and maybe it's a weapon, maybe it's something, armor, maybe it's whatever. And you can choose to use it, or you can choose to sell it, kind of thing, or hold on to it. And then it's actually a whole ecosystem in the game that they're building. It's actually pretty cool stuff. I haven't been able to play around with it. I don't have the proper configuration set up here. But they're working on making it more widely available on different operating systems and stuff like that. But it's
That's
pretty
really
cool stuff. Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that will get people in and get in. It's that incentivization, the tokenizing everything. That kind of goes along the lines of how we're going to get a lot of people into the space, and through what means, right? You see that with like play to earn games. Like,
Yep.
yeah, the tokenomics of that stuff are just completely out of line right now, and that's why you see most dinosaur tail off, because it's just not sustainable. But at some point, that model will get figured out. And I think that that's what's going to, kind of push things over the top and get people in. Because, like, I mean, listen, I'm not a gamer, but I understand, that gamers don't appreciate, the play to earn gaming. They don't appreciate the blockchain games, maybe because they suck, maybe, or whatever. I always thought, the whole thing for me was like, hey, if you spend whatever $70 on the game, you buy the gun, and then you're done with the game. You can sell that gun, and that can fund your next game, versus just leaving the disc on the shelf that you're never going to play again. Like, like there's a chance to like keep that ecosystem going with your own economy, and and not losing money. But I think it's just education.
It is 100% education, and that's a really cool point you bring up there. It's like, you can go fund your weapons and things like that in the game. I mean, look, they may not appreciate it, but remember when Doom came out? Remember when you had the even I'll even go before that, Minecraft or whatever, mine yeah, it was mine, or like Solitaire on the computer. It was awful, and it looked horrible, but it was something to go and do, whatever, and
Fun.
like you think about like the evolution of gaming and how it's become so much more. I mean, think about the first Ghost Recons or the Rambo 6 whatever games were. They were horrible graphics, but now look at what we have today. It's a very
Yeah,
different ecosystem, right?
an evolution.
Exactly. My kids play was it Fortnite? I mean, think about having something like that being on a in a Web3 environment. You would, I mean, that's just incredible. Like, that's just, I mean, they already had, it's already kind of almost Web3 ish, if you will, because they
Hmm.
walk around, they rack up their whatever it's called, the experience, the EP, and then they go and they upgrade their different things or whatever, or they walk around and they pick up different pieces from different people they take out, and it continues to let them build what they are, who they are, and it gives that ecosystem there. Well, what if that was actually putting like Divi or like Polygon or like whatever else in a wallet that you could go and then buy your next game or buy your next firearm or buy your next whatever, or actually invest it and actually make a living off of it like some people are trying to do,
Yeah.
you know
Well, in some countries they can, like, with some of these games where you can actually turn some of this stuff into fiat, crypto
like
into fiat,
Axie.
however that works. Yeah. Like,
Actually,
and so, there was another one, a game that came out, and it's dinosaur tailed off. I don't even know if it's still around. It's called Bomb Crypto. It was like an old Bomberman thing, but you'd earn the tokens and then you can change them out. Like people, it was like people in the Philippines were
yeah,
making, a year's salary in just like a week.
yeah, yeah. That's what Axie was doing. They're the same thing. It's been doing weird stuff. It's basically like Pokemon was back in the day, right? It's you create your characters and you go fight kind of thing, and people still like that. They still enjoy it. There are guys talking about how they're building the NFTs and stuff with that, and they're actually really, really making an income. And I'm going, I'm doing something wrong here.
You and me both.
But yeah, man. Well, cool, dude. Thanks for coming on. Was there anything you wanted to kind of leave everyone with, kind of a final thought, or again, touch on what you're working on, where you're going on, just in case anyone joined late for it and whatnot?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. I always appreciate you. It was great talking with you. Love seeing you out at events. So hopefully we'll get a
Yeah,
chance to
man.
do that soon. But if you do want to learn more about what I do, Crypto JChains is my Twitter account. I do a daily Twitter space now, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can find me there. I'm also figuring out a way to multi-stream it to YouTube as well. So we can have guests on and kind of build on it a little bit more, turn to a little bit more Web3 friendly with what we're doing. So trying to do that, and then that's basically where you can find me, man. But again, I appreciate you having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, dude. It was an honor to have you on. I do appreciate it. Really respect
Oh,
this guy. Y'all need to check out his stuff. Oh, go ahead.
one more thing.
Yeah.
Not your keys, not your coins.
Heck yeah, man. You're not kidding. Get your coins off the exchanges. Get your coins off the exchanges. They're there
All of
for
them.
a reason, but don't leave your crap out there.
Absolutely.
It's extremely important. Extremely important. But yeah, man, it's an honor to have you on. I do appreciate it. It means a lot that you did come on. And yeah, go check out JChains and what he's doing, and pay attention to what he's got to say. He really does know his stuff. Definitely worth the time. So time is the only asset you can't make more of. Spend it wisely, and this would be a place to do that for sure. So y'all take it
Appreciate it.
easy, and I'll be right back, man.